I am Jolee Mallmann. I am from Wisconsin. I was born in Neenah and I live in Milwaukee. And as a creative, I'm an artist, filmmaker, a digital media coordinator. I think I've always been creative. When there was like the choice to do art or science, I was definitely more into art all throughout growing up. And then in high school, when I realized, you can be creative as a career, or rather, like if you have to have a career, let's make it creative. I think that's when I decided to pursue it more professionally. For a creative field, it was tough because I did want to go to school. I was really interested in going to film school, which is why I went to UW-Oshkosh. But I also feel like you can pursue it without going to school, because as I earned my 4-year degree, I also had people working in films alongside me that had not earned their degrees, that were just going straight into filmmaking and getting the experience. So I feel like for me, I'm very grateful that I got my education, and it helps me a lot with the filmmaking and prop making and everything that I do with digital media. But I also think that practical experience is like the most practical thing you can get, especially in filmmaking. At first, I did not actually want to go to Oshkosh. I went to Neenah and Neenah High School. So Oshkosh is really close, and I felt like I wanted to make movies and I wanted to go to Los Angeles and I wanted to be famous, and I thought, well, I have to go to at least Chicago, otherwise I'm gonna be nothing, or there's nothing I can do, there's no movie I can make. And then I quickly realized how expensive things were and how I was gonna have to pay for things in a realistic way. And I went to Oshkosh and I realized you can get that exact same thing and the same foundation of what you need to get to make big movies in small places. So Oshkosh really, from there, I just realized like how great it actually was.
They sent me to a new building tonight. Pretty boring.
Jean Bamba.
Gordon, you the day guy?
Yeah.
The owner showed up a little while ago.
Call it an all-nighter?
Something like that.
I definitely stumbled for a while. I thought that I was going to go to China and teach dancing at a camp, and I got a visa and everything with this camp, and then a lot of things fell through. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I ended up having to stay in the Fox Valley, and I felt like I have no idea where I'm gonna go. And then the pandemic happened, and I just felt like I couldn't stay anymore because I was working a barista job that just was like not fulfilling in any way. And so I moved to Milwaukee, and the first couple of features that I got in Milwaukee after moving here and trying to really establish myself, I got Corridor, and I worked as a set dresser and an art assistant, and I worked on all the wardrobe, and I did a lot of like grunt work, but a lot of it was still very artistic. And I got to look at the screen and say, that shouldn't be there, that kind of thing. From there, I met Cara Mulrooney, and she gave me the recommendation to go to Early Bird with Marty and his wife, KP. And that production was just really wonderful and magical, and they had so many big, grand ideas of what they wanted, like a giant cat ball and just the silliest things, the silliest characters and wardrobe things and physical gags and things like that. And it was really like, I felt like I could do anything because they would ask for something and the limits were kind of limitless as long as I could make it happen, And I learned a lot from, they had an art director before I came on, Maura Tracy, and I felt like they just were the exact kind of people you want to teach you how to do movies. And from there, I felt like I could do anything. And so then I did music videos, different short films that I'm working on, and I just felt so much more confident. When I first moved to Milwaukee, I came to the Oriental Theater and I watched Parasite, and it was the first movie I saw here, and I was like, well, this place is crazy. This place is so beautiful, and I feel like I really fall in love with like places versus people sometimes, and this as a place I really love a lot. And also the fact that it's a nonprofit makes it a lot easier to fall in love with because, it's just movies. There's not really anything, the point here besides making movies and helping people make movies and showing people movies. So when I got a job here, it was right when I also started working on features. So Milwaukee Film, specifically Oriental Theater, my bosses here, I told them I want to also work in film. Can I take off part-time? Like, what's the schedule like? Other places I had worked were like, no, you can't take any time off. And so I felt like it was impossible to explore being a filmmaker and paying for my rent at the same time, because it's, you know, it's very hard to make your own things or work for people. For as a PA, sure, you make $500 a day, but what is that living in Milwaukee? And my managers here were like, no, we want you to make films. So you work when you can work, and, you know, and because it's films and movies, they're all the time. You know, we're open on July 4th, we're open on Christmas. So you work whenever. So I worked here for about a little over a year, just doing popcorn and like letting people in and being a cinema associate and watching movies for free and working during the film festival. And then when the digital coordinator position came open, I just thought, because I make films on my own and I make TikToks on my own and I make all of these things on my own, and I have a pretty good knowledge of how to do things well. I thought I'd love to do it for this place. It feels like the exact right way not to get burnt out, I guess, and it is a lot. Like, it's a huge movie theater full of so many people, and it's a community that is massive, and everybody loves this place. When you say the Oriental Theater, people are like, this is the first place I've ever gone. I've gone here my whole life. So I feel like it's a lot to live up to, and I really want to represent it well, but I also feel like it is the perfect key to get more involved in film. When you're first starting out, it's really important to collaborate with people that you don't know, with new people, with anybody that's in the same place that you are, which is wanting to do something. But you also have to, you know, looking back at the people and the things I worked on, I think just keep it to a certain, you know, level. Think about your mental health and think about, you know, what you're involving in. Remember, if you're gonna do a project for free, what is it gonna take out of you and what are you gonna get out of it? It might not seem fun to work on a feature film for free or for $500 a day, which kind of can be free when you're an adult and working. It might not be fun, but look into it and think like, where is this place gonna go and what do I need in my portfolio, you know? If you have a lot of money, things come easier, but if you don't, you do kind of have to collaborate and do a lot of grunt work, and that's okay. Just think before you sign on to things like, is this worth my mental health? Am I working with a bunch of people that are gonna use this in a way that's not necessarily gonna benefit me, you know? If you're starting out, I think a portfolio is the most important thing you can start with. How are you going to represent yourself? What do you want to put in there? And what are you going to share with the world? And then putting that online. Like social media, even if you don't like it, is a really good way to show who you are. And if you don't like it, just use it exactly as that. Make it a portfolio. You don't have to use it to make friends. Just straight up use it as a, here's my link, here's what I do, here's my work. Try and get it out there. And then I would also say look for like-minded people. If you see other people creating or people doing something you like or that's different, don't be afraid to say, do you want to collab on something? And have an idea to back it up. Joining groups on Facebook like Wisconsin photographers, Wisconsin filmmakers, models, anything like that. There are definitely people that want to collab that will say like, I need a model at this time. You know, use your discretion and be smart when you're meeting up with people that are doing things for free, and that's a whole other conversation, but you know, feel free to collaborate with new people. Milwaukee is a really good place. Artists will just put on Facebook like, hey, let's have 40 people in public meet up. There's a lot of places that people will take beginners. You do not have to be like extremely experienced or anything. The best thing you can do is say yes to yourself, not say what's the worst thing that could happen, but think what's the best thing that could happen. Maybe you've always done film, but you've wanted to model. I think you can model, you know? I'm 5'1", 5'2", if I'm being, you know, a liar today. But I did modeling and I'm gonna walk a show and it's really intimidating, but I feel like it's gonna teach me more about being a photographer. So I think Being a creative is just about saying yes and thinking like, what's the next thing I can do and what's gonna keep things fun for me? And that's what I'd say. And be brave and don't make anybody make you feel embarrassed. A lot of people will make fun of you for doing things, for making films, or for doing things that they're not doing because it's not normal and it's a little spooky and we're in Wisconsin, and so trying these fun things when you're not in LA makes you seem like a loser. It doesn't. People are losers when they're haters.